Hey guys, I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha, and I'm so grateful as always that you guys are listening, subscribing, and commenting. I really appreciate your support. If you guys are interested in supporting me further, you can do that by going to my Patreon link. The link is in the description below, and you can support me by giving me $1 a month, $5, whatever you prefer. In this video, I want to speak to you guys about our inclination or our love for teaching. I've noticed that I don't actually really like the formalized way of teaching. So I don't want to become a teacher necessarily. And whenever, when I was younger, when I didn't have any other goals or any other ideas of what I wanted to do with my life, obviously the two different paths that I was thinking of was either to become a psychologist or like a psychotherapist, to help people that way, or to become a teacher because I really, really enjoy teaching. So I like the process of teaching. And I noticed that with a lot of INFJs as well, because as I said before in other videos I've done, we are informational black holes. So we kind of inculcate and we gather hundreds and thousands of bits of information for ourselves on our own. I'm always surprising people by the random knowledge that I have in my head. And people are like, how do you know that? And I'm just like, well, I'm always reading and I'm always studying and I'm always learning and gathering information. We're hunter-gatherers, but in a way of information. We're always kind of bring in more information into ourselves because we know that information is gold. We can use that in order to become a better human being, in order to live a better life, in order to take care of ourselves, to eat a better diet. Right now I'm obsessed with eating a better diet, so I've been reading dozens of books on healthy diets and how to use olive oil in your diet and teas, things like that. And so that's what we do. We collect information. But then we have a lot of this information in our heads and we know the benefit of it, right? Because we've kind of applied it in our own life, I guess, or we've applied it we've seen its application in the people around us and we see the transformation in people because of this information. And we want to share this information with as many people as possible. It is like this thing within us that tells us if we can just share this information with one more person and it changes their life and makes them live a better life in general, then that's going to be worth it, right? That's one of the reasons why I started doing these videos is because, as I said, I had all this information in my head and I had this desire, this incessant desire that I wanted to share it with the world. Now, of course, I did it with the people around me, right? So I shared it with my family and relatives and friends, but they didn't really seem to care, right? And I thought that I was wasting their time and they were annoyed by it mostly, not interested. I talk about meditation and they'd be like, I'm not interested. Stop talking to me about it. And so I decided, okay, I need to find another avenue of sharing all this information. And obviously YouTube it was very big, is very big. And I was like, all right, even if no one listens to me, even if I have no idea what I'm doing on this platform, even if I have no idea how to even post on this platform properly, let me just do it. Let me do it because it's this voice inside of me, this desire, my soul, my spirit is saying to me, share your knowledge, teach other people, right? And I feel like that happens a lot with INFJs because a lot of you guys message me long. Not only do you comment really, really, really long comments, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs, thousands of words. Not only do you message me or email me about them or Facebook me on them or comment about them, but you're always trying to teach everyone else. And I noticed this in the comment sections particularly that some of these comments are long and intricate and well written and well analyzed, and I'll read them and I'll learn so much about the world because of them. And so we have this innate tendency as INFJs to want to teach other people. Now, as I said, I wanted to be a teacher in the past, but I did not want to use the formalized education system to do it. I was in that system. I hated it. It was discriminatory. It only catered to smart students. Even though I was a smart student, I really didn't like the fact that my friends who weren't as smart were not given as much attention because of the fact that they were not as smart as me. And it was just not fun. They didn't make learning fun, right? They didn't use a sense of humor. They did not use anything like that, at least in my time. And it was just about getting good grades. It was just about just cramming all this information in your head, even if you didn't care about it, and then regurgitating it onto paper when you were in the exam, and then as soon as the exam ended, forgetting all about everything that you've learned. That was a process that happened every single time, and I hated it, I wanted to learn information that I really cared about. For example, right now, as I said, I'm obsessed with diets and how to improve my own diet, how to use different superfoods in order to improve my diet so I can have more energy and I can be more versatile, more vital, etc. Right? And so this information I'm interested in. So I will wake up in the middle of the night and I'll read a book, or I'll read a book until I fall asleep. And so I'm getting in all this information in a manner that is interesting to me. I like reading books. Right? For me, it's weird because I love doing videos, but when I'm consuming information, I don't like watching videos because I do so many of them. I'm always on video. I don't like watching them either, also, right? And so I like reading books in order to gather my information. Not even blogs. Blogs are fine, but if I'm going to read something, if I want to learn something, I want to read a book on it, right? It might be a quick glance through it, like a quick, just going through it quickly. I'm not really paying that much attention to each and every word. Speed reading is one of my talents, so I'll just kind of quickly read through a book in order to gather information. But that's my way of gathering information. I love books. I love them so much, and I'm lucky that the Toronto Public Library is such a great free system that we have in Toronto, that we can gather books from, that we can, they lend us books, and you can rent they can lend you, I think, a 10, 30 or something like that, 20 or 30 books at a time. Not that I borrow that many books at the same time. But it's a good system, and I love public library systems in general, and Canada is a really good system for that. Anyway, so I love reading books, and I like gathering information that way, as I said. And then I like regurgitating information out to people and then telling people about this as and when it's required. For example, I'll give you a quick example. A couple of days ago, I was in one of the women's circles I'm in Chiang Mai, so I'm there and we're having a conversation. And then one of the people just randomly brings up the fact that, they're surprised that people in Thailand and in other countries do not refrigerate their eggs. And they're American, and they're like, well, we have to refrigerate our eggs. They'll go bad. And I can't believe they don't do this here. And I'm like, well, there's a simple reason for that. You guys in the US have really random rules. And so you have this rule that you have to commercially wash the eggs once they're hatched. And when the egg is hatched normally, it has a protective layer on it, so it prevents it from spoiling. But because they commercially wash these eggs in the US, they spoil faster, right? They get spoiled in 1 or 2 days because that protective layer is gone. Whereas in other countries, in the UK and Australia and maybe even in Canada, I'm not sure, in Thailand, they don't commercially wash these eggs as they're hatched. So the protective layer remains, and therefore they're able to leave them outside, not refrigerate them, and they don't go bad because the protective layer is there. Yeah. How do I know this information? I don't actually remember how I found out about this. I'm sure I read it somewhere and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I just tucked it away in my head like we do. As I've said to you guys a lot of times before, we have like a database of information in our heads. And we're constantly putting in bits and bytes of information in there, tucking it away because we know that we'll use it someday. Right? And so I had this information. I told them about it. They're looking at me like, how do you know this? And I'm like, I have no idea. I read about it somewhere because I wanted to know why I had to refrigerate eggs in the US and why I didn't have to do that somewhere else. And so it's fascinating to me that this random information came out and it was useful in a way. Right now, I don't put in every information that I've taken into my database and think, okay, yeah, I might use it someday. I hope I will use it someday, but a lot of it I'm not going to use it for someone else. I will just use it for my own benefit or for just my own enjoyment. I just love knowing the fact that, there's a protective layer on an egg when it's hatched. It's a weird sort of information and I like it, right? And so this is the kind of information that we have. We have all of these random informational things in our head, and some of it's useful, some of it's really not useful, but we still have it because we find it fascinating, right? I have all these random stats and statistics on miscarriages because when I was younger, I was fascinated by it. I don't know why. And so I used to remember all these random facts about miscarriages or about the fact that 1 in 4 pregnancies never actually goes to term. That is, a lot of women actually are pregnant, but they don't actually give birth because they have a spontaneous miscarriage without them even knowing that they were pregnant, without them even knowing that there was a miscarriage, right? And so that's one of the information that's just stuck in my head. I don't know why. It's just there in my head and it just comes up randomly. And so this is the way we do things. We like to teach people because we have all this information in our head. And just these random teaching moments, just like the women's circle thing, I was so happy that I could share this information with them, because yes, they could have Googled it. Of course they could have Googled it, but most people won't. I Google everything that I don't know. I instantaneously, if I don't know something, I'm like, why is that? Why is that the way it is? And then I'll Google it and I'll figure it out. All right, cool. And then so I'll have it in my head. And I know, I mean, I don't always do it when we're having a conversation. You know, I'm not like Googling everything that we're talking about. If I'm in a conversation with a friend, I will sit and I'll kind of tuck it away that this is information that I want to know about. And then when I get home, I'll Google it, right? I'll Google a bunch of things that I was like, oh, I don't know why that is. And then so I'll know it for next time. So that is what we have, this, as I said, an innate desire to share this knowledge with other people. We have a lot of knowledge in our heads, in our hearts, in our spirits. Because we're also old souls, we have information from previous generations as well, previous lifetimes. And so because we have all this information in our heads and we know that it can help the person in front of us, we're constantly trying or wanting to teach the people around us. Now, we might either do, as I said, little teaching moments here and there, or as I said, we do YouTube channels, right? So that's the reason I started this channel, is because I had all this, and I still do. I have all this information in my head and I just want to share it with the world. Even if it helps one or two people, I just want to share it with the world, yeah? Because I think it'll be useful for them. And it has been, so I'm so grateful that it has. I hope this makes sense to you guys. It was a really long video. I just love talking about this stuff. If you guys have any comments, obviously comment below. I do always read all comments. And so please do comment below. And of course, if you guys want to support me further, you can do that by going to my Patreon link. The link is in the description below. I shall see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.